Alright, next up on the block, we've got for you Alpine from G.I. Joe from 1985. Looking great, one of the my all-time favorites. Just for the voice alone, this was a great character. A kind of underused character. I think he most stands out in the movie intro, when you remember when they're climbing the the Empire, or not the Empire State Building, the Statue of Liberty. They finally found a use for him to climb up there, and short-lived. Anyway, great figure right here. This is from 1985, and I'm going to walk you through them. The first thing we always do in these live videos is we do a floppiness test. Well, you can see that one knee's a little bit loose, but not floppy. But he's going to need a new O-ring sooner than later. I don't know. He might even have a few more years on this one if you just leave him be. But he's pretty floppy in that waist. So be aware of that if that's something that makes you bid differently. Got two good thumbs. Got two good feet. Crotch is looking good. So all around pretty nice there. We'll zoom in a little bit so we can take a gander at those elbows. Don't see any cracking in the elbows. Flip them over. Not seeing anything there. So let's look at the actual figure himself. Never did like those goggles on him, but they work. I mean, they do what they're supposed to do. Looking pretty good. Not a lot of wear there. Sometimes you get wear on the hat. I don't really see that. Same with the gloves, the upraised surfaces. What I'm really seeing is those, I think, are harsh shadows. I don't think that's wear. Right there. We'll flip them over and take a look at the back. Oh, I'm not seeing any issues paint-wise there. Sometimes you get some rub here on the rope. Really any upraised surfaces, but I'm not seeing that too much either. So all around pretty good. Not too bad a figure. He does not come with any weapons or accessories. We've got more of those coming up in a different part of this auction, but all around, not a bad piece at all. Next up we have Falcon, an underloved character in the line, and maybe for good reasons. I don't know. I think the movie kind of ruined him a little bit. He's got his positive qualities. It's almost as though the figure and the toy, compared to the movie character with Don, I always want to say Don Knotts. That would be a different movie entirely. With Don Johnson, just kind of, I don't know. They never quite meshed for me. But he's an interesting figure. And not a bad sculpt at all. I really like this. So, first things first. Yeah, nice and tight. Maybe a little too tight. He's not too bad. Thought he might have been super stiff there. But no, he's nice and tight. No floppiness on our flop test. We'll check out his thumbs. Looking good. Feet looking good. Crotch looking good. No cracks anywhere in there. Let's zoom it on in. We'll check those elbows out. This is a good one to be able to check because got those bare sleeves, so it's real easy. Nope, nothing there. Let's check out the paint on him. You know, he's actually a really good looking figure. I'm not seeing any paint issues at all. As always, if you see any, let me know, of course. Comments or somewhere else, because we like to make people as knowledgeable about these products as possible. We'll flip them over on the back and we'll look for some. A lot of times you get, you see just a little bit on the back of the hat. That's that looks like it might be a light, but I want to move it around so you can see. Now that's a smudge. So that's a piece where some of the paint has worn off. I want you to be aware of that. Pretty common on his beret, because any upraised surfaces over time are more likely to rub against other things. We'll get some photos of him for the catalog. Even his bracelet, or watch, or whatever you want to call that, right? It's actually looking pretty good. A lot of times that's one of the ones that goes as well, especially if Johnny took him out in the yard and was playing with him in the dirt, burying him. So all around a pretty good figure. This is from 1987 following the movie. This is Falcon. And next up we've got for you Psych Out. I don't know, maybe this is where it started kind of jumping the shark a little bit, but he's still a pretty neat figure. Especially when you go back to the sci-fi roots of G.I. Joe, making him kind of a psyops thing. There are psyops folks in the military, but they don't use weird laser scanners to hack your brain, so I guess maybe that's the difference. Let's flop him around a little bit. He's looking pretty good. No floppiness per se. The knees bend, but they're not too floppy. Who has 2 thumbs and sends brainwaves into people's brains? This guy. And finally, his feet. It's interesting. We look at him as kind of a good guy. He's able to... we don't need the size marker anymore. We'll move that off to the side. You know how big these are, about 3 3/4 inches. It's interesting that he gets right into people's brains and kind of hacks their mind and finds out information for the good guys. That's fantastic, but when Dr. Mindbender does it, he's a super bad guy. Interesting. We'll flip him over. I do want to show you there's no real paint wear on this that kind of pops out. And we will show you, I'll zoom right in there. Elbows. A little bit easier because it's a nice gray color there, so it's easy to spot. But we don't spot any, so we'll turn it over here. Another thing that happens with him in particular, with this particular figure, is his antenna breaks off. It looks maybe like it's been chewed just a little bit. It's weird, but we're designed for kids, 10 and 12 years old, and they chew on toys. It happens. Not as much as the 1, 2, 3-year-olds, but still. My old childhood toys, I'm sure, have some gnaw marks on them, as well as the TV remote. So the key thing there is that's a nice looking face. He's got that paint on there looking really good. Sometimes a little bit of wear on the eyebrows, but looking pretty good. So not a bad specimen at all. He does not come with any weapons or accessories. We do have some weapons and accessories. I don't think any of his. Later in this auction, in other spots in the auction. But none of these from our consignor came with those, unfortunately. But this is, I think, if you're going to start off to make a complete one, this might be the one. Maybe not with that antenna. Maybe that's the flaw, but otherwise he is looking pretty nice. So there you go. You got 3 different G.I. Joes staring you down right there. You can head on over to TheBigToyAuction.com. You can place your pre-bids right now or join us live on auction day to defend your bids. Now you know how to get them, and knowing is half the battle.